Welcome back to Reddit Guy. Here's today's Reddit story. Story 1. Am I the asshole for destroying embryos we were going to gift to a couple we viewed as friends after they dissed us? A couple of years ago, my husband and I had a child through surrogacy. After the delivery of our child, we had 5 top-grade embryos frozen. We did not plan on having another child, so we decided we wanted to gift the embryos to a couple who otherwise would not be able to have children. We are very open about our surrogacy experience, which honestly went as close to perfectly as IVF ever can. From the decision to pursue IVF to a healthy birth, the entire process took about 15 months, including surrogate search and vetting. We know this is rare and we are incredibly grateful. Although we had no prior relationship with our surrogate, her family and ours have become very close. We wanted to gift the embryos to a couple we believed were friends. Let's call them Greg and Karen. Through mutual connections, we discussed the possibility with them. The first conversation was simply about whether they were interested. No promises or commitments were made. To protect ourselves, every interaction was recorded, and we were extremely careful with our wording under the guidance of our lawyer. We asked Greg and Karen to obtain their own legal representation and have their attorney contact ours if they wanted to move forward with formalizing an agreement. Around this time, life got busy with our new child and we attended fewer social events. Eventually, we discovered that Greg and Karen held extremely different political beliefs from ours. While we disapprove of a certain elected official, they openly worship this person. We had no idea beforehand, as our interactions had always been non-political. Then things escalated quickly. Greg and Karen began telling people that the deal was finalized. They claimed they had started appointments at a fertility clinic and that Karen was already taking IVF hormones. Even worse, they told others they were glad the deal was done so they would never have to deal with us again. They said we were horrible people who did not deserve a child because of our political beliefs, but they were happy to take free embryos. Multiple friends recorded their rants and sent them to us. One recording included a suggestion that they should make an anonymous report to Child Protective Services so our child could be taken away, or at least so we would be severely inconvenienced. We immediately consulted our lawyer. Based on everything, we decided to destroy the embryos instead of gifting them. We filled out the paperwork and began the process right away. When Greg and Karen's lawyer eventually reached out, our lawyer informed them that the embryos had been destroyed and that no agreement would be happening. We thought that would be the end of it. We cut all contact and were in the process of moving far away. Then, while loading our moving truck and doing a final walkthrough, we were served by a lawsuit. Greg and Karen are suing us for breach of contract, destruction of property, loss of wages, medical costs related to fertility treatments, emotional distress, and punitive damages. They claim we had an oral contract and that the embryos were already theirs. Our lawyer believes there is no case, especially since Karen should not have started hormone treatments without possession of embryos. However, litigation will still be expensive, and we've been advised to countersue. This is not about the legality. We are confident we are legally in the right. The question is this: when Greg and Karen started lying, bad-mouthing us, and threatening our family, am I the asshole for having the embryos destroyed instead of gifting them to prevent an even worse situation? Comments. Commenter 1. Not the asshole. There was no contract, and you were smart to record everything and involve lawyers. It sounds like they were only friendly because they wanted the embryos. Their rants prove their bad intentions. Those were your embryos, and you had every right to decide what to do with them. Reply from OP. Our surrogate did an incredible job with due diligence. We had considered donating the embryos to a friend of hers, but she decided not to pursue another child. We would have happily given them to someone trustworthy. Commenter 2. My friend used a surrogate twice, and it helped the surrogate pay for her kids' college and build a future. Those people don't deserve children. Reply from OP. Our surrogate only asked for medical costs and small stipends. What she and her husband did for us was incredible. We wanted to pay that kindness forward. Commenter 3. I couldn't have destroyed them. I would have just walked away and found another couple. Reply from OP. It was gut-wrenching, but we didn't want to take any additional risks or go through another vetting process. Story 2. Am I the asshole for telling a woman at the gym she's embarrassing herself? I go to the gym regularly. About 6 months ago, I noticed a woman I'll call Andrea. The first interaction was harmless. I asked her if the TV on the treadmill was broken. She said it was happening on other machines too. That was it. A week later, she asked me for electrolyte powder. I didn't have any. We chatted briefly. She said she was new to the area and worked in private security. Over the next few weeks, we had casual conversations. 6 weeks ago, she asked me out. I declined. I wasn't interested. She said it wouldn't be awkward at the gym. She kept approaching me. I tried avoiding her. 2 weeks ago, she cornered me while I was on a machine and asked me if I was avoiding her. I admitted I was and apologized. She confronted me again later. I told her to leave me alone. She accused me of being rude. I told her she was embarrassing herself. She put her foot on my weights while I was lifting. I dropped the bar instinctively. It slammed loudly. Everyone stared. She said, "Now who's embarrassing himself?" and walked away. Update. I reported the weight incident to the front desk. They said they'd talk to her. Later, she apologized, but then asked me out again to reset our friendship. I declined. She accused me of being racist because she's Hispanic. I told her to stay away from me. Second update. Andrea pulled the safety tab from my treadmill while I was running, causing me to fall and injure myself. She claimed I thought I was having a medical episode. She was banned permanently after verbally abusing staff. Final update. Andrea began stalking me outside the gym. She tried to kiss me at a bar. I pushed her away. I was kicked out. I got a restraining order. It wasn't very effective. The stress affected my job. I moved away, went back to school, and started therapy. Andrea is now engaged. I'm not great, but I'm okay.
Story 3. Am I the asshole for telling my husband I don't care that his mom cried or that it upset him? My husband blames me for making his mother cry because I am sick of her coming to my home with her creep of a husband, my husband's stepdad. 4 years ago, this man texted his granddaughter, who was a teenager at the time, asking her for a sexy picture. My mother-in-law separated from him briefly, then secretly got back together with him. After about 2 years, she got him sober, and now, this year, she's been trying to involve him in my husband's and my lives. None of her other children really speak to her anymore since they found out, especially the son whose child was affected. I don't blame them. Her excuses have always been the same. He was on drugs. He treats me so amazing. He's sober now and feels terrible about what he did. I genuinely do not give a fuck. He is what he is, and I refuse to let that type of person around my child. Because he had previously visited our home and I was cordial, she assumed everything was fine. It absolutely was not. Thanksgiving was my final straw. She made a comment saying everyone needed to get over it and that she deserved to be happy. Mind you, she had been invited to her other son's house for the holiday, but because she refused to leave the creep at home, she guilted my husband into us also not going to my brother-in-law's. When Christmas came around, I put my foot down and said that man was not allowed in my home. On the 24th and 25th, my husband ignored his mom's calls. On the 26th, he went to her house and told her that I didn't want them there and that they were no longer welcome. She apparently started crying, repeating the same 3 excuses for forgiving him and calling me a liar and two-faced. Her crying upset my husband. I told him I genuinely do not understand why he's upset. His mom is only worried about herself and her feelings. I cannot feel bad for her. Because of that, apparently I lack empathy and I'm a terrible person. To be clear, my husband does not excuse his stepdad's behavior, but he can look past it because the man got sober for my MIL, and because, like my husband loves to remind me, I'd go to jail if he tried that shit. To which I reply, you wouldn't have to if you didn't give him the opportunity. My husband's reasons for being upset are his mom has been through so much and deserves happiness. His mom has done everything for him, and none of her kids love her except him. He would never let anything happen to our child, who is a teen now. He doesn't want his mom to die alone. Meanwhile, I personally don't give a fuck, want my child safe over his mom being happy, think his mom deserves the hate because she chose a disgusting man over her family. Never said his mom wasn't welcome, just the creep. So, am I the asshole? Clarification. I know I'm right about setting boundaries. The real question is, am I the asshole for showing absolutely no empathy or sympathy toward my MIL and my husband because of my boundaries? That's what my husband is upset about. Update. I was given an ultimatum, divorce or therapy. Honestly, I'm kind of saying fuck it. I've suggested therapy multiple times before for other issues, and he always said no. But now that his mom is the reason for the arguments, suddenly we should go? At this point, therapy would probably just speed the divorce along. Thanks for the advice and help. And to anyone personally hurt by situations like this, I hope you're healing and understand it was not your fault. You deserve peace and happiness. Comments. Commenter 1. Your husband is seriously disregarding the grooming his stepdad attempted with his niece and betraying his brother's family with this point of view. Your MIL is so desperate not to be alone that she'll choose any creep instead of starting over, and I bet she's the type to wail, "But I love my grandbabies." Sickening. Honestly, I wouldn't look at my husband the same way after this. He's saying, "not my kid," while ignoring the other kids who could be in that creep's reach. This is a hill to die on. Signed, a victim of molestation. Reply from OP. Oh, I am, and I'm sorry that happened to you. I hope you're healing and safe. Commenter 2. As a survivor of grooming and rape, fuck your MIL's feelings. She can make healthier choices and she is choosing not to. Your husband is grossly underreacting. Sexual assault happens fast. Most parents think it won't happen to them because they're good people. That's not how it works. It's like not wearing a seatbelt. Most of the time you'll be fine, but it only takes once for everything to change. Commenter 3. If MIL wants to stay with a creep, she needs to accept that it will alienate people who don't condone vile behavior. MIL is pathetic. Story 4. Am I the asshole for demanding my girlfriend change her dress for a wedding? This happened over the weekend. I'm in my early 30s, and my girlfriend is in her late 20s. I was invited to a colleague's wedding and allowed a +1, so I asked my girlfriend of 1 year if she wanted to come. She was really happy. Apparently, she loves weddings. Since we don't live together, I drove to pick her up early so we'd have time before the ceremony. When she came out, she looked beautiful. She'd clearly put effort into her hair and makeup. She was wearing an off-white, ornate dress. I told her she looked stunning, but I asked if she could change into a different color for the ceremony. I'm not big on etiquette, but one rule I've heard everywhere is that you don't wear white to a wedding unless you're the bride. She got upset and asked what was wrong with her dress. I tried to keep it lighthearted, calling it wedding law or something. She rolled her eyes and said it was an outdated tradition tied to virginity, and that when her friends got married, everyone wore white. I didn't know the dress code, but since it didn't say all white, I still thought it was safer to avoid white, especially since this was my colleague's wedding and we didn't know how the bride felt. My girlfriend became very upset and accused me of trying to control what she wore, calling it abusive. That honestly hurt. I said something like, "Well, you shouldn't go to a wedding with an abuser then," and told her to get out of my car. She cried and tried to apologize and hug me, but I told her to get out. For clarity, we were still in her driveway. I didn't abandon her anywhere. I drove off, turned my phone off, and attended the wedding. The bride was the only person wearing white. When I got home, my phone was flooded with messages from my girlfriend and her best friend, saying I was controlling and owed her an apology. Some friends agreed with me. Others said it wasn't my place to comment on her dress. So, Reddit, am I the asshole? Update. My girlfriend found the thread. We talked on the phone. She apologized and I apologized. It was actually a good conversation. She asked to come over. I said no and that it would be best if we went our separate ways. She asked why I wouldn't try to work it out. I said goodbye. Then she said my dick was small, which actually made me laugh after such a mature conversation, and hung up. I'm sad, but if our first disagreement resulted in her calling me abusive, I don't see a healthy future. Either she genuinely believed I was abusive, in which case ending things is right, or she used the word to manipulate the situation, which is also a breakdare. I think things worked out for the best. Comments. Commenter 1. Fuck, well you shouldn't go to a wedding with an abuser then. A truly solid peace outline. Commenter 2. If a partner calls you abusive after the first disagreement, the relationship isn't safe for at least one of you. Commenter 3. She knew abusive was a trigger for him. That was manipulative and deliberate.
Story 5. Am I the asshole to my girlfriend for allowing my ex to stay at mine and for driving her 7 hours to her parents' home? I'm 23 years old. I broke up with my ex, who is 25, 2 years ago. I've been with my current girlfriend, who is 27, for over a year. I was out with some lads when I saw my ex with her new boyfriend. He was shoving her and calling her a slag and other names. I went over, broke it up, and took her back to my place. I live with 3 mates, so I wasn't alone with her. I let her sleep in my bed and I slept on the couch. I did tell my girlfriend and she didn't really react at the time. My ex is a mess. Her whole life is a mess, not just her relationship. I told her I was taking her home to her parents. She didn't really argue. It was a 7-hour journey. Her dad thanked me and took me out for a meal to talk. He handed me a couple of £100 for what I did and suggested I get a hotel instead of driving all 7 hours back the same night. I did get a hotel. When I got back, my girlfriend, standing in front of my mates and hers, asked why I felt the need to help her. She said my ex wasn't my responsibility. I said that if it were one of my sisters, I'd want their ex to do the same. She was really angry and asked if I cheated. I said no. She said, "How can I believe you?" I told her we should talk about it later in private, but she kept going. She asked why I broke up with my ex if I was just going to run back to her. One of my mates spoke up and said that I had slept on the couch. My girlfriend said men will always stick together. She asked how I would feel if she went on a romantic trip with her ex. I said it wasn't a romantic trip and that it would be sick if she slept with a vulnerable ex. She stormed out, saying I accused her of being a predator. She hasn't spoken to me in a couple of days. Was I the asshole for how I helped my ex? Her parents have a lot going on, which is why I drove her up instead of expecting them to come down. A user told me to add that her father was very good to me when I was a kid. He looked out for me, let me tag along on jobs, and helped me out a lot. Comments. Commenter 1. I don't want to call you an asshole, but the better way to handle this would have been to tell your girlfriend you were driving your ex home and ask if she wanted to come with you. Uncomfortable, yes, but probably the right way to handle it. Commenter 2. This is the sanest answer I've seen so far. Even if she's an ex, she was still a childhood friend. He was being a good human. The mistake wasn't helping the ex. The mistake was not including the current girlfriend. He should have asked to stay at his girlfriend's place while the ex stayed at his, and he should have invited his girlfriend on the road trip. Commenter 3. Getting her out of immediate danger was the right thing to do, but the 7-hour drive the next day might have been a bit much. I don't think you're an asshole, but I do think you could have thought it through more before going that far. Hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to share your thoughts, like, and subscribe.